There's no way this guy is gathering over 1,000,000 resources with one march. This has got to be clickbait. Is that so? Now, some people might say that kind of gathering speed is ridiculous, and while to a certain extent I agree with you, the cost for some of your class upgrades gets very expensive. I mean, right here, adding a 5th skill to my Air Force is going to cost me 84 million of each resource, and your suppressions, once you get to the higher levels, it's going to be very expensive. For example, getting to level 97 in your suppressions costs 275 million resources. Level 100 is going to cost you 400 million. And while unfortunately not every single one of my gathering marches is able to pull over 1,000,000 resources per hour, they are still very solid marches. Now, I'm going to go through all the things that I do to increase my gathering speed. Unfortunately, a couple of the things I'll go through today are just Eternal Lands buffs, which do offer a substantial increase to your gathering speed. However, even outside of Eternal Lands, my best march is gathering at about 870,000 resources per hour. So you can still crank up your gathering quite a bit even outside of Eternal Lands. Now, the best thing you can do to increase your gathering speed is to have as many march queues as possible, because no matter how strong one march is, having multiple marches is going to trump nearly any benefit that you can get. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description below to my video explaining how to get all the extra march queues, with the exception of one, which I'll mention now. I hadn't played Eternal Lands at the time that I had made that video, but when you get into Eternal Lands, you are able to research an extra march queue. Of course, this only works during Eternal Lands and while you're in the Eternal Lands map. So with my video in the description below, as well as this, it is technically possible to have 7 march queues all at one time. Now, of course, when at all possible, you always want to gather inside a Mechanical Master's facility. These facilities offer you a better resource gathering speed than gathering on normal tiles alone. However, they generally only last for 8 hours. However, a Mechanical Master is actually able to upgrade their facilities even farther for better gathering speed and an increased timer if they specialize in Legendary Craftsmen instead of Great Scientists. Legendary Craftsmen are able to make upgraded facilities that can last up to 10 hours and have an even better output than the regular Mechanical Master facilities. As you can see here, this facility will give me 292,000 per hour, where this one is able to give me 369,000 per hour. Now, the number that's displayed here is based on your gathering speed. If you click your profile picture, go to stats, and near the bottom, you're able to see your gathering speed. Mine is 170%. This is your gather speed before any heroes, hero skills, things like that. So this is based off base skins, decor, which I'll be going over momentarily. Now, of course, one of the biggest benefits of decor that increase your gathering speed is the fact that it affects all of your marches, which is why you're going to want as many march queues as possible. There are several decor that are able to increase your gather speed increase. You'll just want to keep an eye out for these in events, so such as the point store or the new offer event. There's often decor in here that's able to increase your gather speed. Not every time, but you'll definitely want to keep an eye out for it. You can also go to the magic chest and check out the decor bundles. Every single one of the decor bundles in here has an item that gives you a 5% gather speed increase. The only one that's a little weird is the industrial era. The item says collection speed instead of gather speed. It's the same thing. But if you manage to get the 5% gather speed from each one of these decors as they come out, there are 11 decors in total, you're looking at a 55% gather speed increase to everything. Moving on to the base skins, we currently have 3 base skins that offer a passive gather speed increase. This is the holding in stock bonus, so we have the Midnight Castle, the Golden Pavilion, as well as the Shrieking Castle. All of these offer a 5% gather speed increase just for having it. You don't have to have it equipped. Now, the 2 base skins you would have to have equipped if you had them, you have Leader's Demeanor, which you can only get if you are the one holding the capital currently, which gives you a 20% increase, or you can equip the Super Miner, which would give you a 50% gather speed increase. Now, the nice thing about these base skins is if you send a march out to gather, once the march reaches there, you can unequip the base skin. So if I sent a march out and say it's gathering 500,000 per hour and I unequip my Super Miner, it stays at that 500,000 per hour because it's already reached the tile. So you don't have to have this equipped at all times. If you don't want to, you can always switch back to a combat-related skin. Now we move on to the heroes. These are going to be your greatest source of gather speed increases. However, they're only going to affect whichever march they are in, which is why I have one march that'll gather 1.1 million, and the majority of my others are in the 800,000s. Now, of course, we have some heroes that are able to increase your gather speed just because they have it in their exclusive abilities, such as Deliar, Kate Curry, or even Black Widow. However, you shouldn't just focus on the heroes that have a natural gather speed increase to their exclusive ability. There's a couple more heroes that should be on your radar, as well as all of your purple heroes. So for starts, Tywin as well as Gonzo gain an extra ability at level 3 for their exclusive ability. At level 3, they give you a 15% gather speed increase. At level 5, it's a 30%, and level 7, it's a 45% gather speed increase. So both Tywin and Gonzo have this ability. Now, this is not global. They do have to be in the march to gain this gather speed increase, but it's nice to know that these heroes have that ability. Something else that should be on your radar is every single one of the purple heroes. I have all my purple heroes perked out for gathering, and this is the ideal setup in my opinion. You have food gathering speed, oil gathering speed, world collection speed, which is basically a universal gather increase, as well as gather load. Now, gather load isn't required. There's just not really a good fourth option. I wouldn't recommend gold gathering because gold gathering is a waste of your time. You want to focus on the food, oil, and that universal gather speed increase, which will also help you on Odinium. So I have each one of my purple heroes perked out with this kind of setup, and they are able to get 24% from each of these boosts, which means if I have all these boosts the way I have them set up, if I'm on either food or oil, from their perks alone, they're giving me a 48% gather speed increase because you have the universal and also either the food or oil, whichever tile you happen to be on. Now, I understand perking all of your purple heroes can be a bit of a pricey adventure, so let's go ahead and talk about how you can cut some of those costs. I'm a big fan in specializing all my marches, so as you can see, all of my marches are either specialized in food or oil. So a rare and common universal gather speed increase, and then a rare and common food or oil, whichever they happen to be specialized in. You can do this to their perks as well. So if you want to do the bare minimum but still get great gather speed increase, you'll want the world collection maps, the world map collection speed, because that's the universal one, and then either food or oil. So whichever one you happen to roll first is what they're going to be specialized in. However, before re-rolling any of your perks, I do recommend you unlock all 4 of them, because you never know, unlocking all 4 of them, that 4th one might be the skill you want. So instead of wasting perk books, you just pay to open the perks that you'll probably be opening up eventually anyway. Now, something that I have seen people do to increase their gathering speed, and I honestly think they're absolutely nuts for doing this because it's too tedious, but I'll bring it up just in case you're nuts too. Some people will merge every single one of their gathering skills to the highest level they're possibly able to make it. They'll equip it all to their heroes, they'll send them out for a gather, and then once they reach there, they'll unequip all the skills and then put it on a new set of heroes. I think it takes too much time, it's tedious, I don't have the patience for it, but if you wanted to do that, you could squeak out just a little bit more gather speed, but no, it's not for me, it's not for me. Now, the reason I recommend perking out your purple heroes for gathering is they have a good balance between cost and benefit. You know, you're looking at a 48% increased gather speed on either food or oil once you have them fully perked for those perk books that cost basically 1,000 gems a piece, where the blue heroes, you're not going to get that great of a return. As you can see here, you're only looking at 4% for each perk, so you're looking at an 8% for this hero. Please ignore the fact that I spent 11 perk books on world collection speed for Black Widow. We're just not going to talk about that. But the nice thing about these perks is they do stack. So if you put 2 purple heroes in that march, you're looking at a 96% gather speed increase if you have them fully perked. 3 hero, if you're a Grand Marshal with 3 hero unlocked, you're looking at an even greater gather speed increase. The reason I wouldn't recommend perking out your orange heroes is simply because those orange shards are better spent perking them out for combat-related things. However, I'm a little bit crazy and I like my gather speed, and my alliance loves to give me static for it. I've actually started perking out an orange hero for gathering. I know, it's nuts, but hear me out. I have some justification for it. If you're not, say, the top 10 players on your server, whether you do good or bad within the next couple months doesn't really change the amount of rewards you get from events. So, if I temporarily, keyword temporarily, put my combat growth on hold as far as perks, during that time I'm getting the advantage of these perks. Now what I mean is I'm going to completely perk out my Tywin. Now I have world map collection speed and food gather. My other 2 perks, I'm going to have combat, so all unit HP. Ideally the other one will be all unit attack. Once I finish all 4 of these perks, I'll pay 1,000 gems and put it on one of my main combat heroes. And then I'll re-roll the gather ones to combat-related perks. So, while I was busy perking out essentially my Nimitz, except instead of Nimitz I'm doing Tywin, I get the benefit of all this gather speed so I can level up my suppressions even faster. So I'll perk out my Tywin to get him all set up, I'll re-roll these, and then pay 1,000 gems to put it on my Nimitz. And for the amount of gather speed increase I'm getting and how long it takes to perk out an orange hero, I think it's worth it. I mean, yeah, I'm basically wasting a few perk books because I have to reshuffle my gather things, but I'm on a quest to get level 100 suppressions as soon as possible, and I'd love to get all my branches to level 100 because that helps offer a very well-rounded account without having to work on those other branches too much. And if you're thinking all this gather speed is going to go to waste once all my suppressions reach level 100 and my classics complete, that's actually not the case. One, it's going to take an incredibly long time to do that, so it's going to be a long time until that's even an issue, but if I ever wanted to make Valhalla units, all this time I put into increasing my gather speed with that World Collection perks of all my heroes as well as all the decors and base skins and whatnot, I'll be able to gather Odinium at a reasonable rate, and it might become viable to have Valhallas in here even if I'm losing them every SVS. Now, obviously, I wouldn't want to lose them every SVS, but it's much easier to maintain them if I have all of my gathering marches gathering Odinium once I've completed my suppressions and my class. Now, when you get into Eternal Lands, you do have a natural gather speed increase that doesn't show up on the Eternal Lands buff list, so when you are in Eternal Lands, you just naturally gather faster. However, it's unclear what percentage increase you have for just entering Eternal Lands. However, throughout the event, there are other things that open up, such as the Expedition Outposts that offer you 5% gather speed increase for each one you hold. There are 4 in each zone. And there's also the Expedition Base that can give you a 10% once you finish the second phase of repairs. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get gather speed increases in Eternal Lands. I tell you what, though, once I get out of Eternal Lands, I'm going to be having some gathering withdrawals, but I am enjoying my time while I'm here. 5.2 million resources per hour? Ooh, it doesn't get much better than that. But let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments below. Don't forget to drop a like. You can also find a link to my Discord in the description below. We have a lot of helpful spreadsheets that have been made in the community that I've collected in there. I also keep a list of up-to-date gift codes. You'll definitely want to check those out. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everybody who subscribed. And as always, have a fantastic day. I'll be counting my resources.